Yes, Master.
Top 5 Zeta leader abilities. Okay, and that's courtesy of the Alliance and good old Maurice. So, Maurice, at number 5, what are we rolling with here?
Trying to find which order we decide on. I believe number 5 is Finn, correct? Yep,
Yeah.
Finn. Balance tactics always been a premier Zeta for anything PvE oriented. Just basically feeds massive amounts of turn meter anytime your resistance allies pop and expose on the opposite team. Poe gets going, lands a few exposes, and you just never stop going. Your team can go consistently over and over and over again. And you're seeing it slightly come back now. You can use Finn lead with Nest and actually beat some of these Treya teams. You can take them out with Finn, Poe, Resistance Trooper, Nest, and then pick another Resistance ally. Just borderline mandatory for territory battles. Great counters. Great counter team for TW on offense as well, because they do get the bonuses from the TW.
Absolutely. And I mean, 30% offense, 60% defense, cooldown reductions with enemies that take damage from expose. It's really one of the best bang for your buck Zetas. And I know you say this all the time, but it's just a fantastic Zeta. It makes all the Resistance characters good. So characters like Resistance Trooper, phenomenal. Resistance Pilot, great. Poe becomes unbelievable behind a Finn lead, and that's because of his AOE exposed. Basically, you're now with, let's say, somebody like an R2D2 going to be consistently reducing Poe's cooldowns back to 0 again, over and over again, especially if you save that exposed to do an area of effect attack. So you're going to be able to taunt tons of times. You're going to continue to be basically going over and over again. And, I mean, basically as a leader ability overall, I think the leader ability is actually underrated and one of the best leader abilities in the game. Definitely a great Zeta. I really like that one there, number 5. But moving along to number 4, best Zeta leadership in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, we have Kylo Ren Unmasked. So, Kylo Ren Unmasked Zeta leader is First Order allies have 40% critical damage, plus 30% speed. When a First Order ally scores a critical hit, they gain 20% turn meter. When a First Order ally gains a status effect, they recover 5% health and 5% protection. I mean, that is just an amazing leader ability all the way around. I mean, I don't understand how this is not a better leader ability. I don't understand why this is not more used. And I think it's really just because the First Order faction as a whole is missing something. And, we talked about this in one of those videos I made a couple of weeks ago, or a little bit over a week ago, about Snoke and possibly other characters from the First Order faction coming to the game. And what I was saying is that, if there was just something else with this team, they could be a meta-changing squad. I mean, this leader ability is amazing. Maybe Praetorian Guards there with Kylo Ren. I don't know what it is that's missing exactly, but, I mean, it's basically Boba Fett with his crit damage bonus from his leader, plus, Tarkin or Qui-Gon Jinn's leader, all wrapped up into one, with the additional factor of the heal for health and protection, and turn meter bonus. I mean, it's literally everything. I mean, wrapped up into one. So it's fantastic. I mean, for critical hits, they gain 20% turn meter? It's crazy. So I mean, it really should be, probably. I feel like this on paper, it looks like the best leader ability in the game. I just don't know why it's not more used.
Well, the last week we had the meta report. We did see Kylo Ren kind of creeping up. I mean, he does work. I mean, if you take the time and invest in the proper First Order team, and First Order is a team you really have to mod a certain way for it to be effective. And if you put the time and effort into it, you can beat these Treya teams with it. I know 5% health and protection doesn't look like that much, but you have to think of all the buffs they're getting. Every time Kylo Ren taunts, he gets 5% health and protection. You've got so much advantage being passed around. You have first order officer giving out buffs. Stormtrooper, first order stormtrooper gives defense. All sorts of buffs being passed around. Special forces TIE pilot AOE speed up, that gives 5% every time he does that move. He gets speed up, and then they get 5% health protection on top. It really adds up, and he himself is a real pain to take out. He can, if you mod it properly, it's a very, very good team. This kid is really, really good, and the problem back in the day with the Phasma League, the issue was they're too slow. You can never get them going, and so they gave Kylo Ren a plus 30 speed mechanic, which instantly now makes them super fast, because first order officer is a fast character, and he's getting 30 extra speed, so you can get out in front of some teams at first order officer if you mod it properly.
Well, this leader ability comes out 2 years ago, and you're not running anything but first order in arena for the foreseeable future. This is just come out in a time where the leader abilities and the mechanics of squads are so, they're so intricate and complicated now that a basic leader ability like increased crit damage, increased speed, increased protection and health, and increased turn meter don't dominate. Okay, it's actually based on Treya's lead dominates, which is more of a unique kit, but it's because of how developed the game is now. But if this leader ability came out back when Qui-Gon Jinn's plus 30 speed was the best leader in the game, it would have wiped the floor with everybody else at that time. It just came out at the wrong time, I think. But again, there could be some missing components that could bring this leader ability, into a higher viability, and we could start seeing it used more and more going forward. But that's our number 4 Zeta leader ability in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Moving on to number 3. Who do we have here, Maurice?
Number 3 is going to be Asajj Ventress. This might be a kind of a homer pick. Apologies. But any of these, really 3, 4, and 5, they're all interchangeable. Whatever team you personally have the most developed, if you have a very developed resistance, Finn's going to be number 3. If you have a very developed first order, Kylo Ren's going to be number 3. I mean, these are all interchangeable. They're basically 3A, B, and C. And with Miss Asajj here, you remove turn meter, much like the Vader lead. You remove turn meter with Night Sisters anytime they do any sort of attack, any damage at all. You have a chance to remove turn meter. And also, why this team is so good in the raid for P4 is when you drop below 100% health, you get turn meter. And when Trey is doing all these bonds of weaknesses, every time she gets one, she damages your team. So every time you hit Treya, you basically pull your health down below 100% and feed. Every time you hit Treya, you can feed yourself 35% turn meter, I think it is. Just for hitting her once. And if you time it properly, that's how people are starting to get these 8, 9, 10, soloing Nihilus all together now with the Night Sisters in P4. Just a great lead. Also a speed mechanic in this leadership as well. She's made pretty much every leader type ability, top 5 we've ever had. Just you guys really need to have some sort of Night Sister team, and they don't have to be very well developed, but you do need a Zeta leadership. I suggest Asajj, but you can also do Talzin, which is arguably better for arena and like a TW. But Asajj is the better all around choice. I mean, just automatic. Once you get your zombie to 7 stars, I know it's going to take some time, but when you do, it's just automatic. 4/4 in Dark Side territory browse, easy peasy with Asajj.
Yeah, no, I agree, and the leader ability is great. It's obviously speed leader plus offense, turn meter reduction, and turn meter increase based on sub 100 health. I mean, overall, this is again one of those leader abilities that is just on paper fantastic, just like Kylo Ren's. And it actually shows because you see this leader ability get used quite frequently. It's a great territory wars leader ability. It's also the one. I mean, it's kind of a toss up between this one and Mother Talzin's as to which is the primary one for Night Sisters. I think that's going to depend on the other components and the other people or characters that you have in that squad. But Mother Talzin's leader ability is great because of the revives, and this is just great because of the offense, speed, and turn meter reduction. I mean, if you're playing a Night Sister squad in Territory Wars, and you've seen that this squad, let's say a Asajj Ventress squad, has had multiple battles already, you can believe that there's been stacked up, turn meter reduction at this point, and you're going to start the match off with them, basically, doing a ton of turn meter reduction on you, and keeping you, basically, at bay, and in some cases, they can prevent you from going, especially if they've ramped up, a lot of speed. So I mean, it's a great leader ability, and overall, I think it's definitely worth being number 3 here on this list. But moving along to our number 2 Zeta leader ability in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, we have Rey Jedi Training and Inspirational Presence. Why'd we go with Rey Jedi Training here, number 2, Maurice? Hello?
Sorry, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I guess I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I'm having some issues with the mic tonight. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize I put both resistance leads in here until just now, but so be it. They're both top 5. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
yeah.
it's just they're different abilities.
All your resistance get the 30% crit chance. They get 30% crit damage, and when they critical hit an enemy, they have a chance to land expose on the enemy. And if you pop this expose, let me read the kit exactly here. When you pop the expose, I believe you remove turn meter from any exposed enemy. Is that correct? I don't want to misspeak here. And you also reduce here. Just freeze. Let me just pull it up here. Sorry, got a million things going on. Excuse me. Yeah, 30% crit chance, crit damage. So with the 70% chance to inflict expose for 2 turns, which is nice. That will give you an extra turn to get to that expose and pop it. You kind of manage your turn meter better that way. Resistance allies, they gain 10% turn meter whenever an enemy is exposed. So somebody like R2 goes in with his AoE burn move, and let's say he crits 3 times, lands 3 exposed. That's 30% turn meter your whole team gets, which is pretty nasty. When a resistance ally uses a special ability, all exposed enemies lose 5% turn meter. And this can't be resisted. So this is nice. And this is why in P1 you're seeing these big scores because they will, you can put a land expose on Nihilus in P1 and then kind of pick apart the minions and build up your Illuminated Destiny before he goes. And you're just constantly removing a little bit of turn meter every time you're just taking out these minions on the side. It's very, very good leader ability. Just almost, it's crucial for TW, whether you guys use it on defense or offense. It's a TW automatic, either defense team or pretty much an automatic win on the offense side.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's obviously one of the best leader abilities in the game, and Rey has a very unique kit overall. This leader ability really is kind of tricky because it's one of those leader abilities that makes you think a little bit. Now, it has, I mean, like if you just look at it, I mean, it's like a page worth of different mechanics that are working here at once. But the thing about Rey's kit is that her leader ability really needs other components to be fantastic. I mean, first of all, you have to have a full resistance squad. So she's really not a great leader ability with anything but a full resistance squad. Kind of like Finn's as well. I mean, you really do need to have a full resistance squad there also. But she, once she gets going, with characters like BB-8 and R2-D2 and they really kind of all synergize with each other tremendously. I mean, you're talking about, tons of turn meter gain, and then with her unique, the foresight constantly, and overall, this ability can just keep her consistently going and protected to the point where she can slowly chip away until, of course, BB-8 is able to throw out and bust out his Illuminated Destiny, and then it can get to a point where at that point the combination of damage between her and BB-8 can be tremendous, and she's just a great character overall, and this leader ability is definitely again very unique, but one of the best in the game for sure. And I personally when I invested in Zetas for Rey, it was this one and I believe Insight were the two Zetas that I invested in her at first because those were the two that made the most sense. And um, she's definitely a major player in the game right now, a fantastic character in the Sith raid, and this leader ability is a major reason why. So that's our number two leader ability in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, Zeta leader ability. Moving on to number one. I hope you guys can guess who this is. It's the guy who's probably the number one leader in the game right now. So, Emperor Papa Palpatine, and his leader ability since Zeta is tremendous. I mean, Empire and Sith allies have plus 35% potency and 30% max health. Sorry, 35% max health. Jedi and Rebel enemies have minus 35% potency and minus 35% evasion. And basically, I mean, he's just got one of those kits where it's like he's super anti Jedi and Rebel, and he's able to basically render certain characters almost useless. And then the addition of the Zeta gives that that turn meter game, which really is the big change here, right? I mean, when before the Zeta, there was no turn meter game, right, Maurice?
Correct. Yeah.
So basically, that turn meter game made the ability what it is now, and it basically adds a ton of turn meter because if you think about all the bonuses that the rest of the Sith and Empire allies are getting, he's going to basically keep going consistently, shocking targets, stunning his enemies, and basically just provides a ton of potency and as well as health to his allies. So he's just it's just a great leader ability, and he's definitely obviously the best leader in the game, and this is the reason why.
Well, I'm looking at it now. I mean, the Zeta itself has not been out that long, right? And it's already fifth on the Zeta's list of 55.78 of every single player that has a Gear 10 plus Palpatine has that Zeta on him. So that's pretty incredible. That's for such a new Zeta, So man, that's pretty awesome. And yeah, just especially now with all the Treyas getting in there, Treya dispels the debuffs, and the Palpatine teams just go nuts. It's I mean, everyone's using it. We see week in, week out. I mean, Palpatine's half the pie on the leaders. The reason this Zeta is so good because if you do not have superstar elite type mods, and you're not quite you don't have the mods quite as strong as maybe your arena opponents, you can get by with a Palpatine leader, kind of similar to Rex, kind of where you can kind of give yourself a little crutch in terms of the speed secondaries and the mods. Just being creative and dropping debuffs and having them expire, so on and so forth. Because that really is the 5% turn meter per debuff is something crazy. That's why everyone's using Vader. Vader drops the 3 dots, speed down. Saber throw knocks it out. That's 4 debuffs. That's 20% turn meter for the whole team. We've seen it for months in the arena.
Yeah, it is a relatively new leader ability, and I mean he's got obviously the whole meta by his fingers at the moment, and he's just a tremendous character, and since the Zeta upgrades and the rework to him, people were skeptical at first, but obviously it's showing that he's worth every bit of the investment, and the Zetas are fantastic. So I was one of them. I wasn't sure about them at first. I kind of told everybody to hold off. But now, obviously, seeing months later, how long he's dominated, I think it's going to take somebody like Darth Treya to kind of give him a run for his money. So, but that brings us to our honorable mention, Darth Treya.
Yeah, there you go. And the only reason she is honorable mention is kind of what I just talked about with the mods. Like, if you have elite, high end mods, Darth Treya, in my opinion, is a better lead than Palpatine. But if you do not have, you know, probably top 10% of your shard, we'll say, the top mods, top 10% in mod wise in your arena, you're probably going to go to Palpatine just because you will get a little help there in terms of speed. But just the crit avoidance, the potency, and we talked about it earlier in the Imperial Troopers. 35% health you lose whenever you attack out of turn. If you gain a buff, you lose 50% offense. That's crazy. I mean, that renders, a pretty large majority of the game absolutely useless versus or any assisting character, like even the Jedi. And that's why these Jedi, we mentioned the Cup Fan Han video, like he put it on auto and they just get destroyed because they just losing so much offense and just it's very, very disruptive leadership. If you can't crit, that's annoying, especially if you pair it with like a crit avoidance arrow. I mean, you're never going to crit the other team. Like it's just not going to happen. I mean, maybe once, twice, less than 5 times a battle you get a crit in. And a lot of these characters, the rebels in general, are kind of crit reliant. So just a fantastic leader ability.
Absolutely. I mean, she's really, again, like a super in depth, leader ability, and I mean her ability to do, really the health steal for the Sith is fantastic. Now, the fact that enemies gaining buffs outside of their turns, they lose 50% offense until the end of the next turn. I mean, that's it's just such a weird mechanic overall. I mean, it works, but you think to yourself, like, when you're first reading this on paper, like, how is this going to work out? Now, all this stuff has been play tested, and, I mean, obviously we know, Trey is a fantastic leader, but it's like, when you look at some of these abilities, you think to yourself, like, how is that going to necessarily work? And you're not really sure by reading it, how the mechanics are going to work out until you try her out. But then when you use Treya and you actually have her out there in arena and you see all the mechanics working with the other Sith characters and how they have uniques that kind of work with each other as well. I mean, it just really makes everything come together. And she's just got a fantastic kit all around. The leader ability is going to take over the meta at some point, and I think that sooner rather than later you're going to see more and more Treya at the top of the meta report than you're going to be seeing Palpatine and some of the other leaders that are there now. She's definitely on her way up as it is at the moment, and the more people unlock her, the more the leader ability rises up the chain, and she's already right behind, Rey Jedi Training and Rex at the moment. So I think that she will surpass those characters, sooner rather than later, and eventually kind of take a piece of the pie away from Palpatine, if not eventually consume his piece of the pie altogether. So we'll have to see how that continues and how that trends over the next couple of months and see if she actually becomes the #1 meta report leader in the game. But right now it definitely seems like that's the trajectory. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's our top 5 Zeta leader abilities of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, courtesy of the Alliance, Ramon, and good old Maurice. We definitely appreciate you guys checking that out. And, if you like that, please leave a like on the video.